Good morning, good afternoon, and good night to everyone, whenever, wherever you're listening. And thank you once again for tuning into the Extra Medium Sports Podcast. I'm actually not sure what season and episode it is, but that's okay. I am Michael Griffith, a reporter at the Dominion Post, filling in for Justin Jackson today while he is away, but I am not alone. I have Spencer Ripchick in the studio. He is from the Dominion Post as well to break down the happenings in the ever-changing world of WVU athletics. A.D. Wren Baker held about an hour-long press conference yesterday. It's kind of a state of the department, if you will, and shared a ton of information about what will happen in both the short-term and long-term futures at WVU. A lot of exciting things going on. The 2026 Big 12 baseball tournament, that's well underway this week. The second-seeded Mountaineers will be in action on Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. on ESPNU. They're actually awaiting the winner of TCU and Kansas State. That game is set for tonight, which is Wednesday, the day that we're recording this. By the time that you guys hear this episode on Thursday when we release it, we will know the winner of the TCU-Kansas State game and who West Virginia will be playing on Thursday night. We'll break all that down as well as the tournament itself, talk about some of the big contenders. The Big 12 is a sneakily strong conference this year. We'll also go over the regular season Big 12 awards that were released yesterday. WVU was really well represented on there. I believe they had a league-high 10 players named overall, and then they had 4 players on the first team, highlighted by pitcher Max Yale, who was actually named the Conference Pitcher of the Year for 2026. On top of that, as the weather heats up, so does the action in all of this world of high school sports. We're steamrolling through the postseason. Lacrosse closed the door on their 2026 season over the weekend. Track and field is up next this weekend with the state meet in Charleston at Laidley Field. And the field for the state softball tournament has also been set, which is set for Little Creek Park in South Charleston. That's June 2nd through the 4th. Baseball is in the heart of regional play right now. We have a few local teams that are on the verge of state tournament qualification. We will touch on all of that later in the episode as well. But before we get into everything, I need you all to know that the Extra Medium Sports Podcast is brought to you by the Hotel Morgan. Whether you're interested in hosting a sophisticated corporate retreat, a joyful baby shower, or a spectacular wedding reception, Hotel Morgan provides a backdrop steeped in nearly a century of Morgantown history. Now reimagined with boutique comfort and a 1920s-era charm, we take pride in making every single event a memorable and stylish experience. And if you're looking, you can always find a link to our Extra Medium Sports Podcast at www.dominionpost.com. You can also find us on social media at Spotify, YouTube, and on our Facebook page. All right, now we're going to get straight into the WVU baseball and Big 12 tournament talk. Going to bring in Spencer Ripchick of the Dominion Post. Spencer, how's it going, bud?
Going good. I was going to say earlier that you're filling in for Justin Jackson, and I'm filling in for Michael Griffith.
Yeah, yeah. Michael Griffith Inception going on right now. You're doing a great job filling in for me, by the way. I'll just tell you that. Mountaineers, they're going to open up tournament play, like we said, on Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. in Surprise, Arizona. They are in the 2 seed in the single elimination bracket. Like I said, they'll be playing the winner of TCU Kansas State, which that'll be played on Wednesday tonight. And by the time we're hearing this, you guys are hearing this, we'll know who the opponent is. So, Spencer, I just kind of wanted to talk about really your take on the bracket. I know earlier you talked about that there's a couple teams that you think could, run the table. Obviously, everybody's kind of beat up on everybody in the conference this year. I think my pick was UCF and WVU in the championship, but we'll see how that plays out. How do you kind of see it playing out this week?
Yeah, I think I just got done writing a story about the contenders that I think could beat WVU for the conference title, because I think WVU is the favorite right now. They're the highest rated team, so it makes sense. They have one of the best offenses, one of the best pitching staffs. Like you said earlier, Max Yeo, pitcher of the year. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of like the well-balanced team and the favorites. But yeah, I think UCF definitely has a shot. I mean, they're the only team to kind of, other than like Pitt in the Big 12, they're like the only team to really make West Virginia look silly, especially at home. I was writing today, I was like, man, they really actually could have gotten swept in that series. Yeah. They just had a miraculous comeback in that one game to win that game, to avoid the sweep. So they're a team that I could look out for. They've been ups and downs since that series. They've kind of fallen out of the top 25. Yeah. But I think some other teams that you got to keep an eye on are Oklahoma State, who's like one of the hottest teams in college baseball right now. Oh, yeah. They have, other than the kid from Arizona State who won Player of the Year, they have 2 of the like top outfielders in in the country almost. They have a kid who's second in home runs, and then they have a kid who's up there in batting average in the Big 12 as well. But then, like I said, Arizona State is another really good team to keep an eye on. They have Landon Hairston, who's one of the best, who obviously won Player of the Year in the Big 12, so he's a stud. And he can take that team as far as he can. I mean, in that series where West Virginia headed out to Arizona State, Hairston had a home run in every single game, so he's a stud. And then my other team, I think I had obviously I had Kansas there too. Yeah. I mean, West Virginia kind of made Kansas look immortal there that weekend. They swept them. But I mean, Kansas is still a good team. They're the highest rated seed, so they're a team to watch out for as well.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the more and more I look into teams and like look into the players on all these teams, someone stands out on like every roster in the whole conference. It's crazy. Like, I mean, even the teams that are probably not the favorites or might not compete as well, it seems like they have a hitter that's like top 5 in batting average in the nation, or like someone like you said, Oklahoma State's got like the leading home run hitter, right, or something like that, and then second in batting average. It's like and you know, when it comes to a single elimination bracket and winning one game, it really only takes like one or two of those guys to have a good week, or like, you know, a couple of that. But you know, when it comes to postseason play, we know WVU's pitching is good. We know that their bats have been hot. You know, is there a formula to, you think, winning a postseason bracket like this, or is it more just like trying to capitalize on what you're doing well now? Because I mean, throughout May, I think WVU's like 10-1 in May, or 9-1 in May, or something like that. And they've just been doing it every way. They've won low scoring games, they've won high scoring games, they've won shootouts, they've played defense, like all this stuff. So is it more about them just kind of putting a complete game together, or do you think they need to try and exploit one phase of the game, I guess I'm trying to say?
I mean, I think their pitching has to be good. I think they'll be, because it's every single day. Yeah. So I mean, they're gonna have to rely on. Max Yell. We'll see what game he gets pitched in, but other than him, they're gonna have to rely on Chanson Cole, and then we'll see if they go with Ian Korn for the other start. I mean, I think you got to after his last start last
Three
weekend.
First teamers coming at you.
Yeah, last weekend. I mean, but then like that. But like if you use Ian Korn on a short couple of days, then you're gonna lack some of your bullpen depth. So it'll be interesting. But I think it's single elimination's a lot different because I mean, it's just one game, one team can just go off in one game and bounce you out of the tournament, which it's definitely an interesting format. I think Oklahoma State is kind of the team where like, oh, you got to watch out because
dark horse.
Well, the thing with them is they can score like 15 runs on you. Their pitching staff isn't great, but I mean, in a game where it's going to be like 15-13, they'll probably win because they have so much firepower. Yeah. And that's kind of a game where West Virginia might struggle in, especially if Oklahoma State starts hitting a lot of home runs. Even though West Virginia lately has been hitting more home runs, that hasn't been their like MO the entire year. It's been just getting people on base and then striking you out with their pitching staff.
Yeah, the runs don't really come in bunches when it comes to West Virginia, and obviously, like you said, some of the teams in the Big 12 can do that. I mean, they can, you know, BYU and Kansas each put up like 4 spots on each other in the same inning, I think, when they played their series last week. So it'll be interesting to watch. I think, and WVU in the past, I know this is your first season, I think, covering the team, or maybe second season. But in the past, they have not performed well in the Big 12 tournament, especially like post-COVID, I would say. They always seem to just go down and you know, something happens and they just have a bad game, or the other team has a really good game or whatever, and they get bounced. But I think this year, they just had, like, I've been saying this since the beginning, since I called the sweep against Kansas, like, they're just playing such good baseball right now. It's so hard to pick against them. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost that's almost that kind of situation for me. It's like I don't want to pick against them because like it's almost like it's a given for them to win. But when it comes to you know, the postseason and everyone's 0-0, you know, it doesn't matter what happened in the regular season anymore. You know, it's really win or go home. You just got to show up and play baseball. And we know they can do it. It's just about actually doing it. So.
Yeah, well, I think the one thing that West Virginia does have going for itself is that it's like one of the most consistent teams in the conference. So it'll have a bad game, but their bad games are very few, which is good in a single elimination format.
Yeah, which is why you only have 12 losses on the year, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is honestly insane as well. So like we said earlier, we also had the Big 12 Conference Awards come out yesterday, and I said that WVU had 10 players overall when it comes to first team, second team, and honorable mention. And honestly, they could have had a few more because, in my opinion, I thought Sean Smith and Matt Einich should have deserved at least an honorable mention also, but they didn't get one. But they did have 4 players on the first team, including 2 starting pitchers, 3 pitchers overall. You had obviously Max Yale, Big 12 Pitcher of the Year. Chanson Cole, like you mentioned, was a first team pitcher as well. And then Ian Korn, who could be the projected 3rd starter in 3 days, was first team as a reliever. And then Gavin Kelly, obviously, big prospect for the pros and one of the best players on the team. He was the first team catcher in the Big 12. So really just your take on that, I mean, well-deserved in your opinion. And, does that kind of not put a cherry on top, but kind of, give the players a little momentum going into the postseason, I guess?
Yeah, I think so. I think my biggest thing was I thought Paul Schoenfield should have made first team.
Yeah, he was second.
Yeah, just for his defense alone. But I mean, the only thing that was stopping him was the 2 outfielders from Oklahoma State who were both on first team, and they're like 2 of the best hitters in the conference, and some of them are best hitters in the country. But I think other than that, I mean, it's really impressive to have the best pitcher and like 3 pitchers total on the first team is really impressive. I think another thing a lot of people were complaining about was that Gavin Kelly was named first team catcher because he plays catcher and second base.
I was a little confused too. I mean, he's a great catcher.
Yeah, he's a great catcher, but they thought maybe he should be more of a utility.
Yeah, that's fair.
First team utility, but I mean, he's still a really good catcher, and he could have won it for first team second base too. But he's he's just an all around good player. He should have been first team. He's one of the best. He has one of the top averages in the Big 12. So. He should have been on there somehow. So the only reason you're complaining about it is because you want your catcher to be first team.
He should have been like the first name listed.
Yeah, exactly.
Besides the player of the year, obviously, from Arizona State. But no, you're right. He could have done second base. He could have done utility. Just put him in there 3 times if you want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Do the kid his favor, and he's gonna. He'll have to continue playing the way he is, and the whole team will really. You got to keep the consistency throughout the lineup, I think. They've been hitting well at the middle of the lineup. Those 5-6 guys, 5-6-7 batters have been really strong the last few weeks. Sean Smith and Matt Einich and Paul Schoenfield, they've all just been mashing the ball, getting on base, and scoring runs. So we'll see how that continues to play out. Like I said, the Mountaineers will play either TCU or Kansas State on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on ESPNU. Be exciting to see how it all plays out, whether they can, earn the right to a top 16 seed in the NCAA tournament and host a regional in Morgantown. That'll be, like Ren Baker said, my goodness, the 4th regional in this academic calendar year in the city. Out of all the sports, we got men's soccer, women's soccer, of course, women's basketball, and then baseball, and that's just a great thing, and hopefully that can continue to happen year after year for multiple sports. Before we continue, I actually wanted to throw this one more thing in. Don't forget that the Extra Medium Sports Podcast is brought to you by the Hotel Morgan. Host your guests in an elegant setting, utilizing our refined meeting spaces, including 2 dedicated ballrooms and state-of-the-art conference technology. You can also elevate your event with delicious catering and craft cocktail service from the on-site cafe and bar Anvil and Axe. Now, I really just wanted to touch on one more quick thing, which was the update given by Ren Baker yesterday. Like I said, really was kind of a state of the department, if you will, kind of given. He does that every couple times throughout the year, which is really nice. Takes some questions, kind of gives an update on everything. That guy doesn't sleep, honestly. So really, I listened to the press conference. I thought he had a lot of good things to say. But Spencer, you were there. You wrote a story on it, obviously, and got to take it all in and ask your own questions. So what was your? I know it was a lot, but really, if you just pick on a few of the talking points that he had, and what are some of the exciting things that we can look forward to in the near and the short and long-term future, sorry.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was an hour long, which is a lot longer. This is the longest I've ever...
Not a Rich Rod press conference, I'll tell you that.
It's like the longest I've ever heard him talk, and I've spoken to him. I mean, at press conferences, like, I had that sit-down with him earlier in March. That was like 45 minutes, but that was like a lot more of me just rapid-firing some questions just so I could... I only had an allocated amount of time to speak with him, so... But yeah, so that hour, it was mostly like he started off just like talking about how the success of the year went, and then with all the, like you said, the regionals, and then obviously he wanted to throw in the teams that are playing in conference tournaments baseball and women's basketball and how the success they've had with that. And then he made sure to throw in academics in there because, I mean, there are student athletes at the end of the day, even though they're getting more and more towards just athletes at this point. But then he brought up the financial aspect because a lot of people are asking me about that and where college athletics is going is kind of as Ren told me, it's an arms race nowadays. It's who has more money, and that's the only really way you can compete. And West Virginia, as a lot of people might not like it, is not one of the biggest athletic departments in the entire country. I mean, it's hard to compete with Ohio State, Alabama, the schools in the South, Texas Tech. It's just really hard.
Even some of the schools in the Big 12, it's hard to,
like Texas Tech, TCU, those schools down in Texas that have a lot of oil and money. I mean, Ren Baker's doing his best to try to direct funding so he can make his teams as competitive as possible. And Ren also has the problem of it's not as big of an issue because there's definitely some schools that do it, but having multiple competitive sports, pretty much every single, other than like football, but football is is an outlier because that's where you pump the most money anyways.
No matter how good they are.
If you look at baseball, women's basketball, men's basketball is a couple games away from making the NCAA tournament, which we'll talk more about the NCAA tournament expansion. But he was just talking about how he's trying all these different ways to allocate funds, and one of them was the new press box, the West. Right. It's called the West Tower project at Milan Pescara Stadium. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole big thing that'll be done reportedly by 2028 before the football season. So all of 2027, they're going to start working on it.
I wonder how that's going to look like during games. I was thinking about that.
Well, they said they're going to have like temporary seating. They've taken some notes from Penn State, who's having a big renovation to their stadium right now.
You're familiar with that?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. I've been to a few Penn State games this season. But they're also saying that this is going to provide more luxury seating and more ways to bring in more revenue, because that's what Ren's doing. I mean, he did that with the Coliseum recently. He's adding more of those lodge seatings, which is kind of just like a mini box where you're still near the court. You can still hear the sounds, but
he added the seats by the benches as well.
Yeah, exactly. Any way you can find money. And then he got asked about jersey patch sponsorships, which was one of the 5 talking points that I forgot about that one. I had down. He didn't say anything about that, but he's looking. They're looking into options, obviously, because
I thought they would have had that squared away already, but
I saw Marshall already has theirs. I think they did it with.
I'm sure a lot of the country already has.
Yeah, Marshall. I think Marshall has some hospital. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Down there, down in the South. But yeah, he was just talking about how the funding is working. He's trying his best to get as much funding as possible. There's some renovations that he's been looking at. A big talking point that kind of blew up on my end was when he talked about renovating the apron around the Coliseum, that big red ugly thing.
And for definition, can you just tell us what that means? Because I didn't know what the apron, quote unquote,
the apron was. And he's talked about this a couple of times. It's not the first time he's brought this up. He brought this up with me. Then when I heard him talk when the West project first became a thing back in I think it was September or November at the Board of Governors, and I was sitting in on, he brought it up as one of the things that he wanted to get renovated, and he already has donors for that. It's not going to bring in a lot of revenue, but like I was telling Michael earlier, and somebody said why do they need to do that? That's not going to help our athletics department at all. Well, when you're bringing in recruits and stuff, you don't want to have that big red thing around their stadium that just, as Ren Baker says, looks like an eyesore. Doesn't really. I don't even know why. I have to thought looking deeper why it's even red. I think he even said what the significance was, but that he wants to get that renovated. Just that red walkway, and it's kind of broken up too. There's some bricks sticking out, and imagine you bring a 5-star to go look at that and. That they're going to play in a stadium that has a walkway that you could tear your ACL on.
Yeah, roll an ankle in a hole.
Yeah. So then, other than allocating funds, I was going to bring up the conference tournament or the NCAA tournament expansion, which is a big deal because West Virginia's been on the bubble the past 2 years. Or past few years, couple of years probably now. Mm-hmm. But so he was in favor of that. His big thing was just making sure the automatic qualifiers for those mid-major schools remained intact.
That they are for to an extent, right? You can be an automatic qualifier, but some of the automatic qualifiers will be in play-ins, which is a discussion for another day. But
he was in favor of that. As long as those, like I said, those automatic qualifiers, and then I made sure he talked about the 24-team college football playoff because that's a big deal. And now, after what the information came out last night from the Big Ten, seems like it's going to go right past 16, and the 24 is probably the next step.
Crazy.
And I think the Big Ten actually ran a simulation or did some research last night, and they said that 80 different, since I think it was 2014 or whenever the college football playoff became a thing, if there was a 2014 playoff, there was 80 different schools who would have made the playoff. Which I think there's 136 right now, FBS schools right now. So that's more than half. So that's really cool.
That is interesting to think.
So but regarding that, he said that he's in favor of that as well. Obviously, because that means West Virginia has better of a chance. But he was also a big favor of how there's more opportunities to host games on campuses.
Right, yeah.
Which obviously, after seeing the NCAA women's tournament, I mean that's just a big deal, and a lot of people will get hyped for that.
Oh yeah.
But
if this baseball regional happens, like just wait.
That'll be big too.
Be crazy.
So and then he was just talking about how like that's pretty much the only thing he had against like the 2014 playoff is just with the schedule moving up, because that's what the proposed thing would move the schedule up. So the first week of games, we get rid of the Big 12 championship game, and it'd be just after the last regular season game. So that'd also play into the Army-Navy game, which that's a big deal with a lot of people. So once all those like kinks get figured out, then he's in favor of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like everything in college athletics is just evolving so quickly. They just announced the men's soccer will be splitting their season between the fall and spring, and then obviously you got the expansion of the NCAA tournament and the expansion of the college football playoff and just all this stuff, and who knows what will be next. But you know, like you said, I think Wren's doing a decent job of handling it all, and he said one thing that stood out to me about donations, and it was really shocking to hear at first, and he said that WVU had all time in the history of WVU athletics, they had only had 4 donations of $5 million or more at one time, like a gift, basically. One gift of $5 million or more, 4 times ever. And then he said in just this fiscal year, they've had 3, and that they're working on, I think he said 4 more that are verbally discussing it right now. But man, that just really stood out to me as far as, I mean, one, it's a good positive thing, but it also stood out to me as like, that's the kind of revenue you need to keep up. I mean, you know, you look at the basketball recruiting, you look at the women's basketball recruiting, you look at the football recruiting, like they all 3 programs had really decent portals, decent off seasons so far, especially the men's basketball team. I mean, they're bringing in, you know, a lot of people that would be making almost $1 million, you would think, on some of the rosters. And, you know, a couple of those $5 million donations can fill out a whole roster if you really need it to. So it's really good to see that he's, you know, not only pursuing that kind of stuff and prioritizing that, but he's actually succeeding and getting it. I think that's a really big deal too. So yeah, I think Wren Baker's doing a great job. He's got a lot of things that he's you know, and he also, I think what impresses me about him too is that he understands local economy outside of his university. Like he pays attention to the community of Morgantown outside of WVU and how bringing that to the university could also help. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if that's confusing to say or not.
Well, I think he's said multiple times how tourism is like the biggest thing.
Right, yeah.
And having a good athletics department is going to bring in tourism and outside revenue.
Yeah. Dude, I think about a baseball regional up there in UTC. Like, dude, you have all those businesses everywhere. You got all those restaurants right across the street. You got, I mean, places to shop. You got places to eat, places to like have entertainment. I mean, bringing four baseball teams here with their fans and like all that, that's just such an incredible way to really build out the local economy. I thought it was a really good way that he touched on that. As someone who lives in Morgantown, I kind of appreciate that a little bit with him saying that too. So we'll see what's going on with WVU and how that continues to roll through the summer. And you know, like I said, if we get that baseball regional, I expect the city to really show out and I think
like
impressive. So.
I think like summarizing his whole thing, I think it's just like his whole thing is like adapt or get left behind.
Yeah.
Because I mean. If you don't get revenue, because I mean revenue is just the way, and revenue and funding is the way to compete. It doesn't matter. If you don't think it's like that, then you're lying to yourself.
I hate to say that dollars equal wins, but honestly, in college athletics nowadays, dollars equal.
There's just no guardrails right now.
There's no.
I mean that's what Wren and Rich Rodriguez both want, guardrails, just because like Rich said in a recent like interview, like right now we can compete with $20 million rosters. We can do that.
Yeah.
But now once they start getting to 40, 50, 60,
and
West Virginia won't be able to compete just because of the area and the amount of funding that they have and stuff like that. And like I said, you raise money or you get left behind because Oklahoma and Texas will leave your conference and leave you in the dust, and conferences you'll lose out of a conference, and then other conferences will go to dust. Yeah. Like you saw the Pac-12 happen with that.
Exactly. 100%. No, it is dog eat dog out there for sure, and hopefully Ren's got enough bark in him to keep us out there with the big dogs, so we'll see what happens with that. All right, after talking about all of our WVU news and the happenings in the athletic department at West Virginia University, I just wanted to give a quick update on the high school sports world. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, it's pretty crazy in the postseason right now. Lacrosse ended up finishing over the weekend. Like I said, Morgantown High won its second straight WVSLA D1 state championship on Saturday over Lindsley. They won 18-7, which capped a perfect 17-0 2026 campaign. Dominant fashion all season long for Morgantown. They were just obviously the best team all year. I think they had a goal difference up above 200 goals in under 20 games, which if you do your math, they're winning games by a lot. The Morgantown girls also finished as runner-up in the girls tournament as the 4 seed. They upset the number 1 seed, Buchanan Upshur, in the semifinals and ended up falling in the championship. Let's see what else we got. We got this week. Actually, I'm trying to go in order here. This weekend we have the state track and field meet, which is being held Friday and Saturday in Charleston at Laley Field. All 5 of our coverage area schools, that's Preston University, Morgantown, Trinity Christian, and Clay Battelle, they will all have a multitude of athletes heading to Charleston this week, looking for state titles, and a lot of kids that have a great shot to make an impact and see their name, up number 1 in the standings and get their medal put on their neck at the podium. The UHS boys and the MHS girls are, of course, aiming to defend state titles from last season. We'll see how that shapes out this weekend. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have the state softball tournament. Those brackets are set. University and Morgantown High both will head to South Charleston and Little Creek Park on June 2nd for the 3-day tournament. The Hawks obviously captured the title back in 2024 in their first ever appearance at the state tournament, and the Mohegans will now be making their first appearance in the state tournament in program history. We also have high school baseball rolling right through regional play. Tonight, which is Wednesday, Morgantown High, the top-seeded Morgantown High in the North Region, will be hosting 4-seed Spring Mills at Dale Miller Field. The winner of that game will punch their ticket to the state tournament in Huntington, hosted by Marshall University, June 10th through the 13th. Trinity Christian over in Single A is also in the driver's seat in the Class A Region 1 tournament. They picked up 2 wins in as many days this week. The second last night let me actually touch back. The first game against St. Mary's was a 10-inning 1-0 win by Trinity Christian, a pitcher's duel, if you will. And then last night, they were down, I think, on the road to number 2 seed Magnolia out in New Martinsville. We're down 5-2 before junior Sam Falk blasted a grand slam in the 7th inning to put Trinity ahead 6-5. They held on in the bottom half of that inning, and they are in the driver's seat, 1 win away from their first ever state tournament. They are awaiting the winner of St. Mary's and Magnolia, seeing to try to get that game in on Thursday. We'll update you on that. Just keep paying attention to DominionPost.com. You can follow me at Ogriff on Twitter as well, Facebook too, and I'll try to update you guys when I can on when that game's going to happen. But Trinity will have to lose twice, whether they go on the road or whether they host. It just depends on what seed, because Magnolia is the 2, St. Mary's is the 6. So either way, Trinity could be hosting or traveling. But really, one game a win for the Warriors, 1 game away for the Warriors, and they can head down to Huntington with us. We'll also have Clay Battelle, University, Preston. They're continuing to fight through the losers bracket. All of those teams are 1 loss away from ending their season. So just so much going on in the world of spring sports, the postseason. It all happens so fast, but one of the busiest times of the year, but also one of the best times of the year. A lot to pay attention to, and really, I mean, if you haven't watched high school sports for most of the year, this is the time to do it, because you get into the postseason, you get to the state tournament. That's really when you get the top teams, the top athletes, the top players, whatever you will, going against each other and competing. It's one of the best times. And honestly, in my opinion, if you've never watched a state track meet before, at any level, at any state, and you want to see some athletes, that's where you see athletes is a track meet, man. There's the kids that do some of the things on the track and at the field when it comes to those competitions. Obviously, there are athletes in other sports, but man, you'll see, the player of the year in football out there running a 10, 20, 100 meter or something. And you're like, holy cow, he might be getting recruited off that. So yeah, whatever you can get your eyes on, the next few weeks, do your best to do it. Stay in tune with the Dominion Post. Stay in tune with me and Justin Jackson and Spencer. We'll try to keep you updated on everything going on. But that's all the time we have for today, unfortunately. Once again, I wanted to thank you guys for joining us on the Extra Medium Sports Podcast, which is always brought to you by the Hotel Morgan. You can select a wedding venue where you can host your perfect ceremony and grand reception in one of our 2 magnificent ballrooms. From the restored historic architecture to the stylish, comfortable guest rooms for your party, Hotel Morgan provides an environment where every guest feels cared for in the heart of downtown Morgantown. Now booking 2026 dates in our brand new 8th floor ballroom. Once again, we want to thank you guys for joining the Extra Medium Sports Podcast. We'll see you all next week. Spencer, would you mind closing it out for us today?
All I'm going to say is shout out Deuce McBride and the New York Knicks for getting that win last night.
That's right.
See you next week.
That's right.